I'm Amy Fesser, and I'm the Executive Director of Borger Inc. And of course, we're going to talk about driving economic growth in our community. And we'll kind of explain, how we were formed and everything like that. And I do better with a conversation, so feel free to stop me at any time. And so you can see that our screens are really light, but the purpose of economic development is to attract primary and secondary jobs. By that, we are trying to recruit from outside investment into Borger. Of course, we always want to retain our existing industries because metrics tell us that most of our community growth will come from existing industries expanding and growing in your market. And so we also are involved in community development to increase sales tax revenue and create a diversified economic base, because we find that the more diversity we have in an economy, the more stable it is. So if we all only rely on one base for our economy, then if that industry goes down, a lot of times you'll see whole communities that close because of that. So we want to create, retain, and reinvest wealth into our community. And so you'll kind of hear us use words like primary jobs and those type of things a lot of times. Of course, what is Borger Inc. and why does it matter? We're the Economic Development Corporation for Borger, and you'll hear us, we go by the DBA, or doing business as Borger Inc., because a lot of times it's just easier to remember. We've branded that way. And so our focus is business attraction, retention, workforce development, and community growth, and we can accomplish those in a variety of different ways. We support job creation, local business, long-term economic sustainability, and also if you check what our industry papers say and different industry metrics, communities with economic development corporations tend to have better economic growth. And I believe the rate is like 95% better than just a community that does not. And it's because they're active in attraction and trying to grow that industry. Okay, and then you'll see our vision and mission statement. I don't want to just read to you, so I'm going to let y'all kind of look over that. We are a type A EDC, but you'll kind of see that we were, the EDC, or Borger EDC, was formed in 1990 under the provisions of the tax code, or the tax statutes. And so, but in 98, the voters of Borger passed propositions that give us type B functionality. That doesn't mean we have all type B functionality. It means we have type B functionality within these 7 areas. And type B functions change over time. So we have to make sure that our type B functions line up with what the new type B functions are. Most type A organizations that have type B functions have to take those type B projects to a vote. But because in 98 they had the foresight to include it in our propositions that we do not, it uncomplicates our system. So it gives us a lot more agility to help support different projects. We are governed by so we're a nonprofit corporation, and we're not a department of the city. We're our own corporation, but we're considered a component unit of the city. So the city council appoints our board. We have a 5-person board. We are under the oversight of the council. So they approve our budgets and, like financial oversight and everything like that. And we are sales tax funded. So we get half of a cent or 0.5% of the sales tax revenue. And so, okay, type A projects. So it's kind of a list. So you'll see that type A EDCs are heavy manufacturing, industrial facilities, recycling, distribution centers, small warehouse facilities, research and development facilities, national and corporate headquarters, job training, especially when tied with a college. Now we can move into like CTE programs and that kind of things because they're tied with the college, job training classes, telephone call centers, and are those really even a thing anymore? I mean, they're just kind of still in there. I'm not sure that that's, really like most people work from home doing that. There's not like a big telephone call center. Infrastructure improvements that promote or develop new and expanded business enterprise, aviation facilities, commuter and light rail, You see how much rail we have here in Borger, and we need more. Port-related facilities, and ports are not just in the sea. We have a lot of land ports in the U.S. So maintaining an operating cost associated with projects, and we're really talking about those big industrial projects because this is type A projects, and then contaminated property cleanup. So we're talking about brownfield sites when we say that. And so there's a big difference between greenfields and brownfields, if you know anything, and especially around here, we have brownfields. If there's been any type of oil spill or contaminated project, we can go after funding to help clean up that property and remediate it, and then turn it into like an industrial site or something that's now good for redevelopment, and we'll get letters of no further action and those kind of things from the EPA. So you can take a site that was once unusable and then turn it into something that can be now used again, and we can use it to recruit another industry. Okay, these are type B projects, and I almost brought our propositions for you to look over, and I thought, ooh, that gets way down in the weeds. So type B projects are sports and athletic facilities, tourism, entertainment facilities, convention facilities, and public parks. And these have to be tied into there's some other metrics to go along with it, but this is kind of an overview. Related restaurant, concession, parking, transportation facilities. So now when we're talking about related ones, we're talking about sports, tourism, education facilities, those kind of things. Related street, water, and sewer facilities, affordable housing, public safety facilities, recycling facilities, streets, roads, drainage, and related improvements. And we're talking about related to projects, demolition of existing structures. We're talking about with projects, general municipality owned improvements. So if there was a piece of land that we wanted to go after and try to get that ready for a project or something like that, we could work on that. Maintaining and operating costs associated with projects, and manufacturing and industrial facilities. So in the type B projects, we still try to tie all those projects into type A requirements. It's just safer for us. And you'll see what kind of some of the, so we can't just give away free money. We'll hit a slide in a minute. They'll talk about the 3 components we have to measure on incentive agreements. So we still try to pull those metrics in just to make sure we're on the safe side, because we're almost like the community's investors. So we take the community sales tax money, the percentage we get, and we're reinvesting it into the community to create more jobs, to create more sales tax, to create better quality of life. Because when we have more jobs and people are making more money, they're spending more. So, yes, please.
Like when you're talking about sports and athletic facilities, is that, are the schools stuff separate? The school is their own thing, right?
They are.
So that's,
so we can't support nonprofits. So we can't give sales tax generated from a business to a nonprofit entity that doesn't generate sales tax. So they have to be a sales tax generating entity. The only caveat to that is like a college, because we can do it in, like we can support programs. So like we have supported the welding facilities at Frank Phillips with the high school. We've bought them safety gear and welding equipment and supported the expansion of that project. We've done things with the nursing program, like we paid for that instructor for a year. We've, I mean, there's so many things we've done with the college. High demand job training, paid for half of the semi-truck to get CDL because we needed CDL, licensed drivers here. So those kind of things we can partner with, and that was a high demand job training grant. So the EDC had to pay 60% of that grant, and then Texas Workforce Commission paid 40% of that grant. And so we can do those kind of things with the school, but it gets really difficult for us to, and schools have a little bit of an exception, but as far as their facilities, because it won't generate tourism or anything like that, we can't. Because it's all about what are the dollars it's bringing in.
But we might be able to do something with like World Cup games.
That would be amazing. Yeah. If we could have.
How much money that can bring in?
Oh yeah, it's crazy. I've been watching it on the news.
Yeah.
So, but like affordable housing. So, Yucca Estates was a workforce housing initiative, because one of the issues we have is that a lot of our workforce doesn't live in Borger. They commute to Borger. And it wasn't as much an affordable housing issue as an attainable housing issue. We just didn't have the housing that they wanted to live in. So we could invest in housing and affordable housing becomes such an odd metric to measure, because affordable to what group are you trying to retain in your community? So if you're trying to help the industries recruit at a certain place, they're trying to recruit this, demographic and having a really hard time getting, say, new engineers or interns.
I mean, it's this level, and that's what it needs to
And we have this big gap in that kind of housing. And so we look at it as a housing and a workforce development project. Okay, so did anybody else have any questions? Because I definitely want to hit them all. EDC grants and incentives. Sometimes people think we have the ability to give away free money. We actually don't. We're prohibited by the comptroller's office. We need to measure 3 components. There needs to be a performance agreement, there needs to be job requirements, and there needs to be allowable costs. Now, we don't always have to have all 3, but we need to have 2 of the 3, one of the 3, and it needs to be substantial enough to justify the grant or incentive. And so that's kind of the metrics we need to measure. Of course, our core strategies, and there's a lot of different items under these core strategies, are business retention and expansion, business attraction, entrepreneurship and small business support, workforce development and talent attraction, and then downtown, and it's really downtown community development. Community development, downtown really falls inside that. Does anybody have any questions?
What are you guys doing for your entrepreneurships?
So we did partner with the Chamber and Main Street on Business Bootcamp. And so, there's an application process and the Chamber's kind of managing that. And so we're funding the program at $25,000 potentially if those 5 businesses complete it and they're all compliant.
That you guys are involved with?
No. We have Leading Edge in our office every week that we pay for, and it's available to anyone. So that should have been gone over. So Leading Edge he's an all-around business support, and he's available to anybody in the community anytime, as many times as they want to come see him. He'll help with business planning, pro formas, financials, continual strategy, and even if you get an incentive through our office, you've met with Spencer, because it's one of our requirements. He's going to do your financials and that kind of thing, get them in a way that the board's going to see it. And then throughout your business, you can come in and meet with him and say, I don't really understand my cash flow. And he'll go through that. Or, you know what, I think I want to take on a new product line. Or I'm thinking I want to expand. He'll meet with you and say, okay, so here's your financials over the last several months, a year, 2 years, whatever. This looks like this plan is feasible for you. Or I wouldn't do it right now, but if we put these things in place, you could achieve this goal in 1 year, 6 months, 2 years, 3 years, looking at your metrics. Or, hey, my business is in trouble. He'll tell you what to bring, what information together. He'll help you do research. And he'll say, this is why. You may need to cut back on some of your employees for a little while. Maybe you're paying too much for a product service and you're not reselling it at the right price. Or so he can help businesses look at where the trouble areas are and try to make adjustments. And maybe that's a supply chain, maybe that's, whatever. It could be a host of different issues, and they're unique to the business. So he is really, we kind of joke and call him the business guru. So he can help with whatever, whenever, and you can come see, he's in our office once a week, but he's in other offices. And so if he's in Pampa and he has time, he'll see a Borger client in Pampa. He does phone meetings. And when you talk to him, you're going to make an appointment through his cell. So you have access to him anytime. And so, and then of course, workforce development and talent attraction. Workforce development, I mean, we work on that with the individual industries. We've worked on that with Frank Phillips College. Sit on the advisory board at the high school, sit on the advisory board for Frank Phillips. And so, and then we are always staying in touch with different people on the state level, and then just different avenues that we have to attract talent.
What kind of talent are you trying to attract?
Depends on what the industries ask us for. Like we have a...
What are the industry trends right now? Since
So locally or nationally?
Both. They all impact each other.
It's a good question. And here's the thing, not everybody wants what's trending. So let's talk about the controversial subject, data centers. I've turned away several projects because they weren't right. Like they used way too much water. Their numbers were off. And you'll know a fake data center when you see it after you've looked at the projects long enough. There's some good ones. I mean, a Google data center, now I haven't looked at the metrics on it, is going in Pampa. The Claude one.
But those are just large corporations. Are we looking at local small talent, or are we only looking at big corporations?
We look at everything.
Okay, so what would be for more, since it is a small town, what are we looking at?
We look at everything. So we will sit down and talk to industries and find out what their supply chains are. What would make your life easier if you had this in Borger? And we will go after those. If someone in town, if we hear of them wanting to start a business, we actually called somebody locally. I'm not going to disclose who it was because they've been wanting to manufacture for a long time. We're looking at a business. Everybody in town almost needs two things. They want a drive-through window if they're a restaurant, which that's like finding I mean, if you found one, you found something rare because it's hard to find drive-through windows. Yeah, I mean, that drive-through window is like gold because sometimes I've talked to several of our small business restaurants and a lot of them will tell you sometimes that's 60 to 75% of their business right there. And you can't argue, I can't tell a business owner that that doesn't matter to their business because they know their business. Like I would be arrogant to say, you don't need a drive-through window, just come try this because I think it'll work for you. I don't know your business. You know your business. I'm here to facilitate your business, not the other way around. I can't come in and dictate your process. So I knew that she'd been looking for a couple of years. She was working on a building. It fell through. So had a building in my radar, called her and I said, hey, are you still wanting to do, like, is this still your dream? And so we're kind of in talks about it because this building has the space. Now, is it a wreck? Yes, it's a wreck. Is that something we can mitigate? Yes, because she has the vision, she has the planning, she has the everything. So those are the kind of things that we will do if we know about it. But we have to know about it. We're not mind readers. We're not, you know what I mean? Like we don't know if somebody's wanting to start a business unless we're engaged. We don't know unless, you know, and like a lot of times we'll get great information from like Brandy at Chocolate Tulips has sent us quite a few people, different things like that. So if someone will engage us.
Start a business.
Yeah, like they'll have that, you know, they'll have an idea or they'll want to do something. And I mean, I've had her send people across the street or just give us a phone number.
We're looking at stuff, trying to find somewhere to go to, people can book for parties and just, because that's what everyone's always, everybody's wanting somewhere to go do a party. So
yes.
What do you do?
So we sit down and have a conversation. We try to find out how far are you in your business planning? Like, where do we need to help you get ready? Do you know what I mean? Or have you formed your LLC? Are you going to be a sole proprietorship? What's your, you know, what's that status? How far have you gotten? Do you have a business plan? Have you pulled local metrics to see if that's viable, if there's a need in this business? If not, we can try to help you do that. We can call the BEDC or something like that if that's not a metric we happen to have on file. And then if you don't have a business plan, we're going to put you, we're going to give you Spencer's card and try to get you an appointment as soon as possible to start taking those steps. And then once you meet with Spencer, we're going to try to fit a program because we need you to help you. Yeah, like either get in a building, move forward, whatever we can do. So that's the goal, is to push you down. And then if somebody's got, like under our current contract with the chamber, if somebody has gotten an incentive program and they're not a chamber member, we can gift 6 basic chamber memberships. And the hopes of that is that you've experienced 1 year of chamber membership and you see the benefits of it and you want to renew the next year, because they'll kind of market for you and they'll do, these things, and they've got luncheon leads and there's programs you can take a benefit of. Because the thing about community growth is the burden can't fall on one organization. We've all got to play our part. So, did you have another question? Okay. And we go, so sales tax revenue is sales tax revenue. We are going to go after the big fish, but the big fish take years. You are building relationships and working on those projects. Leprino cheese that just went in between Amarillo and Lubbock, it's like a combination. That was a 15-year relationship building before that project landed. And not long after they landed, 3 years later, Chick-fil-A is putting a distribution center in Lubbock. So like one project follows another project, but there's no fast projects. And so I think we were on the topic of what is the trends right now. So data centers, it's a big trend. Data center manufacture, I just talked about this at ARCID. If your community doesn't want a data center, go after data center manufacturing components, either secondary or tertiary. They don't even have to manufacture them in your community. We've got Claude, we've got Pampa, we've got them popping up everywhere. We've got Fermi. We could have a distribution warehouse of components. No impact to our water. There'll be some electrical impact, but we don't have to deal with all the yuck, and we could be a huge supplier. I actually know the guy in Weatherford or Parker County. He's supplying all the porta potties to both Claude and he's got the contract for Fermi and he's got the contract for Pampa. So we've got to think about it, like all the needs of these industries that are popping up. He's making $107,000 profit a day on Claude. In porta potties, I never wanted to be in the porta potty industry so bad in my life until I heard that. Couldn't think of a worse industry. But there's going to be opportunities that we just have to expand our view. I asked, I was like, you got to be kidding me. Like that's pure profit a day. And if you haven't driven by it, I would encourage you to drive by it. It's massive. My son actually is working out there for the electricians union. And here's how bad it's going to be on workforce. 23 years old, no experience. None as an electrician. Not 1 day's worth of experience. And they hired him on the spot. And they're training him. And he's going to make $150,000 this year. It's ridiculous. Yeah, but the electricians union in Amarillo. So when we start thinking about workforce, we are going to be competing with jobs like that as these things come in. And we can capture that in housing in our area and start increasing our population. So we have to have this huge picture of what is going on in our area. Any more questions? Sorry, because I can go off on these tangents all day long right now. So that space, if you haven't been watching the news, space, defense, there's huge projects hitting our area in space and defense. So it's bunch of stuff in there. Yeah. Space and defense, especially aerospace. But when I say space, I mean space. Like, there's a lot of stuff coming. I mean, they're talking about data centers in space. I think Elon Musk has said he's going to be the first one to do it. And I believe him. I mean, if anybody can do it, he can. So some projects that we have done, of course, Yucca Estates, and so that was a partnership on BEDC land, and we partnered with the city, and so we split the infrastructure costs 60-40. BEDC paid for 60% of the infrastructure, city paid for 40%. They also paid for the architecture costs, for the infrastructure planning costs. And so lots were the incentive for the builder. So we paid for the infrastructure, they put it in, and then the lots were the incentive to drive down the cost of the homes. Because if you have priced lots lately, the cost is ridiculous. I mean, now lots can go for $60,000 and $80,000. And so I think we've got them down to a good price point. I don't remember how much they are right now, but they've also got a great program where they will buy your house in Borger so that you never have to make a payment. So you know how a lot of times you're building a house and you're making kind of two payments. You're making the construction payment while you're building your house. They'll actually buy your house. You're just making your house payment. And then you get to move into your new house and you're just making one payment on your new house. And then they're going to renovate that house and put a newly renovated, market-ready house back in the market. Because one of our issues are, we put houses back on the market, but they're not updated. They're not newly renovated. And so they've got this great program to start getting, up-to-date stock on the market.
I mean, which is good.
I mean, it's a great,
it's bad.
No, it's a great program, and it's great for the buyer. So you don't have to worry about having to sell your house and having this contingent program. We partner with Peyton Machine and Disco every year on internships. So we allocate a portion, so much for whatever they ask, kind of what they ask for within reason. They've never been unreasonable per internship or per intern. And then we pay so much toward their personal protective equipment. Sometimes it's $500, sometimes it's $700. It just depends on what the equipment's going to cost. Station Media, and they may have kind of changed the name. I don't know if you know, it's in the old furniture building out here on 10th Street. So they do all the games and everything. So that was an interesting concept that came to the EDC. They wanted to buy equipment and the 3D printers. I'm not a gamer, so I'm probably going to get this wrong, but it's for some kind of game that's got these huge boards and mats, and people come from all over, and they sell these, I mean, internationally sometimes, and it's huge. My kids can tell you all about it. That's as best as I can do. But it was a chance on something that we had never done, and they've been really successful. And so that was kind of a cool thing. But some of the projects we have going on, definitely not comprehensive. Yucca Park Estates. We have renovated one building. We need to start recruiting for that one. It's the old At the Ranch building. We've renovated it to be a restaurant, brew house kind of, restaurant place. And the upstairs has the ability to be Airbnbs or apartment or whatever.
I remember watching something on it, but how many would fit up there?
You could do 2 really nice size Airbnbs. I mean, they would be big. 12, which is the jet fuel project that's looking at, we've got option agreements at the Enterprise Park, and then Novo Hydrogen, which is a companion to them that's going to go in the county. And we'll kind of go over that. We've got a new QSR, a quick service restaurant, that is purchasing land. We won't know what they are yet until they announce. That's how some of these projects go. Of course, we helped refinishing systems, do a lot of renovations so that the mural could be put up. And then Disco also bought a new water jet machine for machining products. And so that is going to expand their service line quite a bit, and they had to hire for that. Of course, we're looking at downtown buildings to purchase and renovate. That's some renderings. That's a home on Yucca Estates. And then, so this is a little bit about 12. And I've got a QR code in there. So 12 is an eco jet fuel company. and they will bring in it's $1 billion investment into the community and 60 upper quartile jobs, and they have a great benefit package. And so you'll see, like, they just opened their first plant the 12th in Moses Lake, Washington. It was a collaboration with Microsoft, and Alaska Airlines has already bought all their fuel, so that they will be the provider of this e-jet fuel to Alaska Airlines. So at the Borger facility, they would make e-marine, e-jet, e-electrol, and e-naphtha. And those are the products that would go in. And so the basic components of this product is CO2, water, and electricity. And then that's what the products they can make with it. And so they'll use local sources of CO2, but then they will probably have to sequester and bring in additional CO2 by rail. This is kind of their basics of it. And they have a really low water usage, especially related to our other industries. And so this is just kind of an overview of how they do it. And it's a really clean process. And so their basic byproduct becomes, they turn regular water into hard water. And then that's just a QR code that has an announcement from the Seattle Times of when they opened. But that's part of the facility in Moses Lake. Oh, part of my thing did not come over. Anyway, I can tell you about this one. This one is Novo hydrogen, and it would produce hydrogen for not only this project, but also the other manufacturers here in town, and they can do it at a net zero cost. And the only thing they would profit over are the carbon offsets. So it's a really clean process. It's really great. They're actually building wind turbines currently, because in order to get some of the credits that the state is offering in the federal government, before they expire, they had to start construction before July 5th or 6th. So those are actually, the foundations and all of that are being poured as we speak. And this one I forgot to take out, so that's my fault. And those are the project leads on the 12 side and the Novo hydrogen. And this is another project we've been working on for years before we even announced. So that was pretty much everything that I have. I just wanted to have time for questions and those kind of things.
I had another question. Mm-hmm. It was a few slides back, and I didn't mention it, but it was it had mentioned activity centers. Mm-hmm. And I was seeing if there's any news for the I don't remember what it's called.
Big sports complex.
Yeah, so they actually have kind of gotten stalled in some of their planning. We've been approached by another group to take that project over. And they are a comprehensive sports facility. They're actually the largest sports facility builder and operator in the U.S.
Was it the construction that was being held up, or I'm sorry, I don't understand what you mean.
So it was their, we were at the phase where we needed to get their platting and that kind of stuff done. And they were just getting hung up in that process for some reason. And so I can't tell you why that was their hang up. That was just where they were kind of getting stuck. And so we've still talked to them, but there comes a point where we can't, like, if they came to us with stuff tomorrow, could we try to find them another place? I mean, we'll always work with anybody, but we work projects all the time, and there comes a point where you can't hold a certain property for a maybe when you have someone that's wanting to go out there and start really working a project that you look like could be more of a sure
So
thing.
if that happens, all the money that was given to these people are just.
Well, we can shift them to a different piece of land and then let them see if they can work that. But
Stuff.
the amount of money we gave them, when you look at our projects and what we have to invest in, it's not a big amount. I mean, because like these, we haven't given them anything. We would give them stuff on the back end. So like we've got an option on that land. If they purchase the land, it would be $2.5 million purchase. We would roll their $2 million into a matching grant at the, that basically helps. You would put $2 million down and we would get a $4 million match for infrastructure. And so we're talking about $1 billion project that would bring in all of this additional revenue for the city and all of that. And so, and those jobs. So we got to remember those jobs are perpetual. And then we would probably have 3 years of massive construction. And when you bring in that huge labor force, all of the businesses and the restaurants.
You're also going to have to increase the infrastructure. We don't have infrastructure to handle that kind of traffic or construction.
Oh yeah, and so there's increases everywhere. And so that's why we have to plan for all of the things that come along with it.
And then on some of the other stuff, I just had a question.
Yeah, no,
Because I wasn't
please.
sure, because, okay, say like disco and stuff, and y'all give them like, say, $500 for PPE and stuff. How does that work when you've had an established business that should be able to afford that, and that money would be better off going to somebody or a different business that needs?
Well, if they will come to us, we will work on incentives like that with anybody. And we've done this program for years. The problem is people don't ask us. Like we just need to have the conversation. I mean, we will work with anybody. It's people just don't come to us. And the PPE and stuff, I mean, so the goal is of the internship is that becomes a permanent employee, that they retain them for the long haul. It's like, take this person who has no experience at all and train them the way you want them to work. You're going to take the extra time. We're going to offset the extra costs that come with taking this person because, the highest thing you can ever do is hire a new employee. No.
We've tried hiring, we can't.
Yeah. And so it's the most expensive part because basically you're going to pay 2 people for at least 3 months to do the same job because you got to train that person. And then if you can keep them long enough, it's usually they'll tell you, depending on the job, it's a year and a half before they're fully functional. So you're really paying an employee that's maybe working on 50% capacity, maybe 75% capacity till a year and a half, and they truly feel comfortable in the job. And then they're actually doing it, and you're paying benefits. So like part of it is helping in that workforce is what can we offset to give you time to train, and you're not bearing all this, and because the rollover costs are what will eat some of these small businesses. So how can we come alongside you, kind of offset that, give you time to train, give them this, and then hopefully you retain. And Peyton Machine has done a really good job of retaining a lot of those. And if they're college students, them going back and returning the next year. And we don't usually intern the returns. You know what I mean? Like they'll just hire them because they're trained. And so, and Peyton's biggest issue is when they hear from the industries hear they're from Peyton Machine, they'll cannibalize them. So it's feeding some of the industries as well. And so, because when you see a good employee that's well trained, everybody wants them. And so, but no, if anybody will come to us and tell us that they're struggling with workforce, we have resources to upskill employees. There are so many programs. We just need to know that that's an issue, and we will try to find ways to help. Do y'all have any other questions?
So do y'all, do y'all wait for people just to come to y'all, or y'all are out hunting for, like, okay, Borger, y'all are hunting for what Borger needs, right? To try to help out, bring in stuff to what they need. Y'all actively go out.
We'll have conversations, but you can't, we're a 2-man shop. So between like your office activities and all of your stuff, it's hard to hit everybody. So we're trying to get better about that. But like this week, of course, I left today to go hit that conference, but I couldn't have gone and made a visit if I wanted to. Like some weeks you just have it that are like that. But yes, I mean, and part of it is we've got to do more marketing and things like that. And we have it in a strategic plan to hire a person that can help free up some stuff and, give you more margin for this. But it's the awareness of what we can do and then knowing what the need is. Because there are some businesses just know to call us, and we work with them a lot. But if people don't know what we can do.
Are you actively looking to hire somebody for that position?
We have got the job description and everything, but we haven't posted or anything. Waiting on, I think that we're kind of in a limbo right now, waiting on. We've got a change we've got 3 new board members coming on and some different stuff like that. So trying to get everybody settled.
So what would you say that if someone, do people come in and go, we want to do something, we want to do a business, we want something, but we want something that's going to bring the Borgers needing.
Mm-hmm.
What would you tell them?
So we don't really give anybody their idea. Usually people will come to us with a formed idea of what they want.
I mean, like we talk about, Borgers needing, we need housing or just rooms or these types of certain, housing, or we need this.
So we have housing studies that we can show what the market says we can hold and we need.
Just because to me, all these people coming around all these other places, their towns are immediately full already with all, and so it's going to spill over coming around on more than one aspect, more than just trying to find, a non-motel to live in, or just, the food changes, with the people coming in and, how much they eat out and stuff. So that, or just providing cleaning, a lot of them, they don't want to do any of their own house cleaning, just laundry services and stuff like that. I mean, that just in that part, it branches off.
It does. I mean, and when you start thinking about, everything that comes along with certain projects or jobs, it can really expand. And sometimes it could even be a call to some of the industries and say, what are the things that y'all need the most? What are the parts that we don't have in town? What are, you know what I mean?
Right, that's kind of what I'm saying. Some people can conform to different things on a different type of business, honestly, and fill it in and be able to do it. They just don't know exactly what.
And I'm trying to remember, I had some stuff written. No, I had some stuff written in my office, and of course I don't have it with me right now, but one of them was telling me, you don't have, and it was something really simple in town at all. And you need to see about getting a supplier like this, or a distribution place for this thing. And it was really, I was like, we don't have this at all. And of course, I'm not real construction oriented. And so I'll have to go back through my stuff and look at it, because it was something really simple. And I'd called around about it. But it will be the most random things that you just don't think about, that people will have a huge need for. Welders. We have a huge deficit of industrial welders. And of course, there's a big difference in an agricultural welder and an industrial welder. And so that is a huge need here. I mean, we can't keep enough.
Welders that work for us, they can't get welding jobs because they don't pay nothing.
Yeah.
Unless they're got their own rig doing stuff.
Yeah.
That they can't go, like they make more doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And yeah, that's part of it. That's a big deal. But like our industries talk about it all the time, how they cannot get enough of them. And it's things like that you will you will hear. So, and that may be, you know, some of the things that even talking to like the HR departments at the industries, because, you know, it's like, okay, what is your big trend? And then the suppliers at the plants, you know, or the purchasers at the plants, a lot of times they can give you big ideas about what things are. So, and just even, I mean, research is a good thing. You can find out so much on the internet about their supply and what are the products in their manufacturing process, because we have huge synergy. I mean, there's a reason we have the companies that we have in this area. There's a reason why the Eco Jet Fuel company wants to come here. It's because their product has to be mixed half and half on the Phillips plant. It's too clean to use. So it has to be mixed 50-50 with our jet fuel that's made out here. So, I mean, everything has synergy. Everything works in combination with another. Had that conversation pretty early with some of the previous manufacturers. I was like, okay, who do you want and who's your competitors? Because we're not going to keep them from coming here, but we're not going to recruit them. Like, we don't ever want to recruit somebody that's a competitor.
We have Reynolds. That's
Oh yeah, Reynolds are going to be a huge name. Yeah, yeah. And if you need marketing assistance, there's resources for that. The Deidre here at the city has helped people market. The chamber is a good resource. And so absolutely, like if you need marketing assistance, those are always great resources. Well, if there's no more questions, I told you I'll try not to keep y'all late.